Live, so we're just going to give it a moment.
All right.
So do you have anything else planned for this weekend, Julia?
I have quite a lot planned. Yeah, we're actually painting the house, staining the house, doing lawn work. I'm going with my mom to King of Prussia Mall tomorrow.
Okay.
Some quality time things, and she has my kids right now, which I said I put a guilt trip on her to take them. I really did. I was like, I'm sorry, Mom. I know I definitely put a guilt trip on you this time. I was like, but you're not answering me back fast enough, so I'm going to ask someone else. I never talked to her like that. Never.
Aww.
It was just one of those moments, like just been everything going on. I was like, Mom, I just need a moment. But we're going out tomorrow. I'm like, the kids are coming. I was like, you'll have them already. Feed them. I'll bring the clothes. We'll get them dressed and be out. And she was like, all right.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. How about you ladies?
My weekend just consists of working and obviously here.
Yeah, I don't have anything really planned this weekend. I mean, tomorrow, me and my best friend, we're gonna catch up on some stuff, so we're probably going to lunch. But that's about it. I have to do some work. Work never stops, so I have some work I gotta complete as well. But that's typically about it. You know, this is one of the smooth weekends, so I'm not going to complain in regards to that.
Yeah. That's good. I'm always wrapped around my little three. Right now, it's just a blessing.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Alan, thank you so much for tuning in. We're just going to give it another moment for a couple of people to come on, and then we'll get started. Why are you looking? I'm so used to you being like on Zoom and not being with me, so it's like.
See, this is what we need to be here.
I know
it's much
been a
better.
While. It's been a while. It's been a while.
See, you guys definitely got good vibes, so that's why I'm definitely like just
positive vibes.
Yes.
Positive vibes. This is no ratchet Saturday.
Oh no. No.
Oh, I know it's the transition is hard.
Yeah, it is.
Definitely.
The part is accepting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, you know? We gotta take the positive stuff out of things, you know? So
yeah, it has. It has been a couple months that, you know, but
we struggle.
We did it. We did it.
We're pushing. That's all.
And that too.
Yeah, because I just have my little group, Cherished Ladies. It was more of a Bible study than it turned into like a thing. Because my friend, my sister had her church, and then it like slowly shut down on the low, and I didn't really know about it. But we were all like gathering still. I was like, yo, why don't we just do like a women's thing and stuff? And it was really nice, but what you guys are doing is very genuine and sincere, and I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
I mean, not saying.
Hi, Joe. Hi, ladies. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to get started in just a moment. Go ahead, Julie. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. It's just like just seeing people trying to like just achieve their goals when you kind of have more time on your hands. You want to help people get to that place, and it didn't really work out because I didn't do it for for myself. I didn't do it really for God. I was doing it for other people. So
yeah. And it definitely has to start with yourself, you know. If it
yeah.
doesn't start with yourself, you'll drain yourself out. And it's like, how
Yeah.
can you pour into others if you're empty?
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I know it sounds weird, but you definitely have to do it for yourself, but you can't do it for selfish reasons either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely
So,
got to be selfless. Yes.
yeah. So that was the hard part of a lot of things. So I'm gonna pause.
Excited. All right, let's get started then. Hey, Janelle. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shanera.
And I'm Jenny Lee.
And before we get started on today's topic, I just want to let our newcomers know, you know, what we are and what we do. So we're an empowerment podcast. We uplift and edify women. Men is more than welcome to tune in and listen as well. We give a platform for women to share their stories, trials, and tribulations of things of what they went through and where they are now in life, which is a blessing. And then we also have topics and episodes in regards to educating women, you know. So be sure, as we are on season 3, be sure to tune in on our website. You can catch up at any time. It's not going anywhere. But we typically like to go bi-weekly, preferably Saturdays, but it just depends on our schedule. So thank you everyone for actually tuning in. Today we are going to be speaking on stay-at-home moms. A lot of people don't know the trouble and the things in detail in regards to what comes with being a stay-at-home mom. It's not always rainbows. So that's what we're going to get in today. We have the guest speaker, beautiful Julia. She's going to share her story. And before we get into that, I'm going to let you know a little bit about Julia. She was born in York, PA, raised in Coatesville. Her fiance and her have 3 little boys, growing into some strong, independent, loving souls. But they drive her crazy, you know, which is fine. What kids don't you know drive you crazy?
Yes.
She brought her home almost 4 years ago. And that's when it became real for her. Slowly but surely, she's created a home. They have chickens in the home as well as goats. But the township wasn't having that. So now she has cats and dogs and all type of other stuff going on, which is interesting with the chickens, you know. But today she's going to share her testimony in regards to being a stay-at-home mom. So thank you, Julia, for coming out with us today. So before we get into your story, tell us a little bit about yourself that I haven't covered.
All right. I'm so very excited to be on this call. This is something to me that is almost a passion. Just pouring into other women, pouring into the lives of others. It means so much to me because especially with the world right now, it's not a fun place to be. Sometimes I think about maybe having more, but I'm like, what am I bringing them into? And then sometimes I ask myself, why did I even have this many? You know, like who told me to have kids? But like it's crazy. So trying to mold kids into this thing of a world life that we got going on is hard. So, you know, I do my best to create a home. You know, like I said, we're coming up on 4 years right now. We had to get rid of the goats, and you said it wasn't all rainbows, but I'm telling you, when it rains here, I run outside looking for the rainbow. Like, God, like, just let me know. Am I good? Some days rainbow after the storm, and some days I don't. But I'm a lover of God. I attend the Church Freedom Life out here at the Coatesville campus. There's 4 locations, but Coatesville has my heart just because I'm from there. And I volunteer on the kids ministry team, and I'm also involved with an essential oils team. I just really try to team up. I'm like a team player. Sometimes I like to be isolated, but as of right now, like it's all about team spirit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before we actually get into your story, what was your life like growing up?
My life growing up was very bittersweet and confusing. I didn't really, I'm going to be honest, I can't remember a lot of my past because there was a time in my life where I placed myself into an addiction and it kind of messed me up a lot. And because of that, I can't remember a lot of my childhood, but a lot of the basics are really covered with just being in a comfortable home, a good setting. You know, I knew that, you know, I had an uncle in my life who was like a father to me. I had my grandfather who was basically the man who raised me at the time. I had my stepdad. So it all definitely trickles down as far as like, you know, having those daddy issues. But
you had it. So did you have like a good support team at the end of the day?
But when you grow up, you start to realize a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, but growing up was really nice. It really was. It was a simple, easy, you know, drinking out the hose type of childhood. It was very loose, very energetic, very loving, but, you know, life.
Okay. That's fine. So you bought this house, you know, I'm glad you're super excited to finally, you know, have a home of your own for you and your man. How was it? You know, how old are your children, first off?
My children are, I get confused because one just had a birthday, 3 years old. My 5-year-old just turned 6, and now I have an 8-year-old.
Okay. So was your stay-at-home life, being a mom, was that something that you decided to do? So go ahead and share your story, you know, how it all came about.
All right, so I'm gonna be very open here, and a lot of people don't know this, but there is a reason why I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom because I have non-vaccinated children. When we decided to have children, we didn't really know. We got our first son, maybe his first set of vaccinations, but as new parents, nobody really told us this. Nobody educated us on anything. And Joey, my man, he was really into a lot of that stuff. He was heavily into research. He reads a lot. He's a man that comes from a hard background too. So we didn't really have an educated parenting experience, if that makes any sense. Nobody really guided us through like what to do next about vaccines and everything. So when we started to look into daycares and people to watch our kids, some people just didn't want to be around my kids because they weren't comfortable with my kids not being vaccinated. And I'm very open with it now because to me, it's just, you know, to each his own. And it's just one of those awareness things that people aren't really aware of because they're afraid to talk about it. But then again, you know, like I respect the doctors and nurses, the pharmaceuticals, I respect all of them. But at the end of the day, like that was our decision. A lot of daycares don't take children that have their vaccinations, but because of some that do, they were way more expensive. They're because you got to get verified from doctors, from different doctors. You know, you have to find new, like a new pediatric office. Like we shopped around like it was like shopping for a pair of shoes with a doctor. They were only really worried, like, excuse me if I hurt any feelings, but they were only worried about that paycheck. They really, really were. And they almost said that to us. They was like, well, we can't really help you here because, you know, like you being a patient and just coming here and seeing you is almost invisible. They're only getting the money. And this was the first doctor's office. I remember having that conversation. The first doctor's office told us, they were like, we were like, seeing you was almost like seeing a ghost. You come, like, they almost basically asked me, why are you even coming? So right there, it just turned me off because I was going to the doctor's office to adjust my child's vaccination schedule because I was not for it at first.
Okay.
So then, you know, eventually it just one thing turned into another and I just decided to stay home.
Okay. So what was your day-to-day life, you know, at this point with just one child? And do you well, we'll get into schooling, but what was your day-to-day life with just having your oldest son at this point?
It was, I don't know if you guys ever seen that commercial where the one girl was like, don't touch this, don't touch that. And then there was this mechanic, she had her second baby and she was like passing the baby to like the mechanic with greasy hands. Like that is so true. You get your first kid, you want to wrap them in a bubble. You don't want to do anything to them. You don't want nobody to even watch them. And 3 kids later, I'm like, Mom, where you at? I'm like, all right, Mom, if you can't watch them, I'm about to ask the neighbor. Like, I'm so serious. Like, I wouldn't let my neighbor really watch my kids, but that's just how you know, it's a lot. From going from one, it was it was such a loving experience though. It was a new experience. And that's what makes it really, really hard, is that when you have a kid, you know, you expect this wonderful, you know, and you know what I can really say is one of the mistakes that women make is, and I'm guilty myself, but it happens a lot, is that you think you have a baby and you're like, oh, like talking about the men at this point, you're like, oh, this is his, because our 3 children are together. This is his first kid. This is going to be great. Right. You know, he's going to, you know, change his life. And this is just going to be a happily ever after thing. And he honestly, to just be real, he wanted me to get an abortion. My second child, he was talking about adoption. It's just a scary feeling. Like, fear will make you say some things.
Right.
So it was, no.
So after you actually like took everything in, you're like, all right, great, I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom. What effects did you go through as, you know, taking care of the home, taking care of, you say Joey? Is Joey? I forgot his name. Sorry. Joey. Taking care of your kid. Like what emotions was going on, you know, being at home all the time? Like, did you have day-to-day activities that you actually took out to do, or was it just staying at home, nothing else?
At first it was, but then I'm not a stay-home person. Like, just being like, I was diagnosed ADD, ADHD, you know, like most of us have been, but I just can't, I'm not someone to stay still at all. So I was like, in my mind, I just knew like, yeah, I have this baby, but I still want to kind of live my life. But my turning up days kind of turned into like park play dates. And I was forcing friendships. I was forcing some friendships. I was forcing people to just like pity party me, please come see me, like me. And then eventually what happened is I found this church. I didn't even find this church. Somebody introduced me to a church. It was like, hey, come join me like at this church. It's going to be great. Like, they're so awesome. Well, she invited me once and never went back. And I'm still there almost like 10 years later, you know? So they had this mom group is really what did my whole change of life, because I know that I couldn't have done it by myself. I couldn't have done any of this by myself unless I put myself out there. And I did, which, you know, is easy for me, because I was the life of the party at clubs. Now I'm trying to be the life of the party at these freaking play dates. Like, I'm bringing the applesauce.
That's awesome. So when you were going through like, hey, you want to come hang out with me, and now did your circle, did they all have children, or were you the only one with children? Like, it was like a round. Okay.
It was definitely a 50-50. I had friendships that I didn't want to let go because they were my comfort, but I had new friendships building, and I was almost rejecting them because I felt like I was being fake. But I wasn't being fake. I was just growing into someone else who I didn't even know who it was. So to other people, it looks like, hey, who are you? What are you doing? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't even know. I'm just becoming someone new, but it's like, I felt like I had to. And I'm still, even till this day, 3 kids later, I still go through those same feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it can be intense, because at the end of the day, for real, you are a team of your own. Whoever else comes along, it's great and it's wonderful. I love you. But at the end of the day, you know that you have to take care of yourself.
Yep. Right. And I think a lot of people, you know, lose their self trying to please others and trying to hold on to friendships, when sometimes it's the season for those type of friendships. And then we have to grow, you know, especially if you're going into something positive. Sometimes you do have to let go of those friends that no longer are growing with you.
Yep, I agree.
And it's not so much that they're not growing as individuals. You're just growing into new futures.
Right.
Yeah.
Plan.
Right.
Because, you know, we're all like big faith believers and God lovers here. Like, you got to understand that God has a plan and a purpose for everybody. But that doesn't mean, like, there could be people in your life for a season, but they were also there just to teach you something. That's just, they were supposed to be there for the rest of your life.
Yep.
That is true. That is true. And it goes both ways, you know. As we grow, we can help them as well, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And there may be things and some things for myself and each individual, that there are wonderful qualities, but in someone else's life that may be a major downfall to them.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a big people person, but maybe there's somebody out there that was a big people person and they're just trying to be more reserved. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
so, that's it just goes both ways. It's all perspective.
That is so true.
Yeah.
That is so true. So when was your first breakdown? Was it with all 3 of your kids, or was it just with your oldest kid? And how did you handle it?
I know this is going to sound crazy, but my first breakdown was like probably the day before yesterday or something, when I went to the hospital. I don't know if you guys seen that. I posted it because I share a lot of my story. And I only say that because for so long I have tried to keep it together. For my first child, I mean, I've had moments where I was ready to binge. I'm ready to go out. Like, I had my son, and then before my second son came along, of course you're like, party mode. Let me go hang out. Let me get my youth in while I can. Right. So for this whole time, I was floating through, pretending like nothing was wrong. And then recently I've had some pretty tragedy things go on in my home, and a lot more other things that I really can't talk about, but it's just been very intense. Well, I was sleeping one morning and I woke up and I just felt something came over me, and I was like, it was 7 o'clock in the morning. I woke my man up. I said, I need to go to the hospital right now. I don't know what's wrong with me, but something's going on. So I go to the hospital. They run tests. I thought it was my thyroid. I thought, because I have thyroid disease, I thought I was pregnant. I even skipped my period in July. I still haven't had one. Took 3 pregnancy tests. They took blood work and everything, and I still have not yet got it. And I asked them, I'm like, what's wrong with me? And they're like, well, and I've like vented out to the nurse, and they were like, well, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. So that's what's wrong. You need to slow down. And as far as, and I say this was my first breakdown only because I didn't cry. I didn't feel bad for myself. I wasn't looking for help. I wasn't looking for anybody. Just something came over me, and I was like, wow, I really haven't been taking care of myself. I've cried plenty of days. I've cried numerous nights. There have been times where my man didn't even come home because he just couldn't even handle me anymore. There were a lot of breakdown moments, but when I actually broke down was a few days ago, when I realized that I was not taking care of myself. Even 10 years later, you can still just break down. Yeah. And it's scary, for those of you, I'm on Zoom, so I don't know who's watching, but my man, he almost lost his life. Someone tried to take his life. His best friend tried to take his life. Mental health is very important because no one's seen it coming. Nobody's seen it coming. My man, he was just with our kids, and he got attacked right in front of our 2 oldest children. Luckily, I had the baby with me because I don't know what would have happened. And with just that, and going from cooking meals for your family at least I try to cook for them. I ain't gonna stay in front like, yeah.
Ask them when we finish.
I ain't cooking all the time. No, I'm not. But just with all of that happening, just made me realize how much that I could have lost, how ungrateful I've been, how I've taken life for granted. My 3 kids, because you got 1 kid and it's all new. You get over it. You figure it out. The second and then the third, there's people out there, like I got a friend of mine who has 5 boys. That's a good friend of mine because we can relate. We're very relatable in our subjects. But if you can't relate in conversations, then you really don't have anything to talk about, besides, if you got plans and stuff. But one thing I've also noticed, as far as like kind of rewinding back to like the friendship thing, when people have nothing to talk about, you start talking about things that just don't even matter. So when you start talking about things that don't even matter, like people, or whether it's the past, you just start talking about absolutely nothing. There's no growth. It is literally holding you back and keeping you where you should not be growing to. And it's, you know, once you get past the friendship thing, then you start to blossom, because you can't rely on any of these friends out here. Like, all of my friends know where they stand with me. They all know that they all have a special place in my heart. But the friends that are in my life also know that we're not in middle school anymore. We're not in high school anymore where we can call each other, you know, why didn't you call me today type stuff. Like, this is reality and this is life. I'm not like, in a sense of a mother, you're not worried about who's your friend anymore. You're worried about how you're raising your children and what friends they're going to bring home.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
I know. I'm like, I detour. I'm like, wait, am I going the right direction?
Nah, you're good. This is your story. So wherever you want to take it, that is fine. So you said, you know, recently was your, you know, your first, like, would you say, like, mental breakdown in regards to everything? How has things changed in your life now that, you know, what was he in the hospital? This is
Yeah, he was in ICU in a coma for 7 days.
Okay.
And then he woke up, tried to come home, and tried to go to work a week later. Like, he's a whole nother child. So, like, that was very intense. That moment in my life was probably the most, because he asked me, like, for a man who is very independent, a man who just is that the go-to guy where everyone goes to. He's very loved. You know, he's known locally or whatever. But when you see the person that is your strength actually crash and fall, it just reminds you that you have to be strong too. You know, you can't sit here and just think that, you know, like he's going to rise. I had people in our life literally just about to plan his funeral. They were planning him not to wake up. They were not, they had like no hope. They didn't have hope because they don't know the God that I know. I've also seen my brother down and out. My brother, he was also in an accident, and it wasn't the family talking funeral talk. It was the doctor came into the room. I was in the room when they came to talk to my dad, my stepmom, my sister. I forget, there was about 9 or 10 of us in the room, because I remember counting them. Like, I remember it being like 9 people in the room, and he was telling us, like, we should really start planning a funeral. The head, the brain surgeon or whatever, he's the one who came in and was like, it's not looking good. So we told him no, you know. Well, I did, and I just was kind of there in prayer. But my stepmom and my dad, they believed in something much bigger. And my brother is a walking, talking miracle, like, you know, and he's just there. He does live with complications, but he also lives, you know what I mean? He's alive.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they can, you know, doctors can say one thing, but we all know that our God
God has the ultimate word. Yeah.
Exactly. So when my man went down and out, a piece of me was very nervous and I was scared. I'll never forget when I got that phone call, and I felt so bad because I was with my friend, Linnell. She's my best friend. And she asked me if I wanted to go, because we go grocery shopping together sometimes. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of, it's sad, but that's our new club.
You're outing.
I'm like, yo, I got the spot. Like, but she's like, you gotta take me there. So like we went, but before we went, we were going to lunch first. Well, brunch, we was going to brunch first. But I felt bad because I didn't tell Joey. I was like, no, today's my day. You're keeping the 2. I'm going to keep the baby. Like, because, you know, taking kids to the grocery store is not fun. So I felt really bad. I felt so bad because, like, I was like, you know what? Today's your day. I'm out. But then my neighbor calls me and she's like, she's 70. She's 77 now. She's like a really good friend of mine. She's like my spiritual mother. I have Bible studies with her and everything. And it's crazy because I told my kids, if there's ever an emergency, you run straight over to her house. And we live on a busy road, Valley Road. And they ran across the street. And I asked my son too. I was like, weren't you afraid? Did you see any cars come? He was like, Mom, at that time, I didn't even care. He grabbed his brother. He ran across the street. My neighbor calls me and she's just like, Julia, I just want to let you know that, yeah, somebody's over there choking out Joey. And I'm like, what? And it was crazy. So I'm like, all right. And then I told my friend, I was like, you know what? We have to go. We have to go. She's like, what? Is something wrong? I was like, everything's all right. Everything's going to be okay. But we have to go. We have to go. So we hurried up, wrapped up what we were doing. And then we started driving home. We were at Appetites on Main.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we were over there. So, and I live in Coatesville. So from Exton to Coatesville, for those of you who are, familiar with the area, that's a whole 15-20 minute drive, not knowing if your man is alive. That was intense. Mm-hmm. So they're calling me saying, well, she's pulling. I called her back. She's like, they're taking him out on the stretcher. I don't see no movement. I'm getting all of this information from everywhere, from my neighbor. I talked to my son, asking him what happened. And finally, the chief of police calls me. And I'm like, all right, like, what's going on? He basically told me that my man was dead. He was like, he's on his way to, the hospital. It's really not looking good. I don't know, or I don't think he's going to make it. But, I'm not in an ambulance right now. I don't know what's going on. So I'm on the phone with them and I'm like, where is he going? They said that he's going to Brandywine. So I rush over to Brandywine. When I get to Brandywine, I'm sitting there waiting and I see my township's ambulance pulling off from the hospital. I'm like, he's either here or he's in there. I kept looking at the ambulance, but I'm not even thinking about thinking to leave because I'm thinking that they just dropped him off. So I go back inside and they're like, oh, they just shipped him off to Paoli. Meanwhile, this helicopter is like floating away. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they got a helicopter going now. And he just they brought him to Brandywine because they couldn't get the tube down his throat, got the tube down his throat, shipped him over to Paoli. And that's where the waiting game began because his mom got there before me. And because of what happened to him, they had to keep him pretty much a secret just in case. They were worried for his safety. And I was like, that's cool. The only thing I need to know is you need to give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down when I call. So I called them and I'm like, do I got a thumbs up? That's the only thing I was allowed to ask them. They was like, you got a thumbs up. Then finally, after so many times, they finally started giving me information. Mm-hmm. And during that time, it was hard because my kids were the one that were with them. They're the ones that found him.
Right.
They ran over to the neighbor's house. They're the ones who had the call. So, I don't want to dive too much into that story because it's a much longer story. Mm-hmm. But as far as I just had to give you a little bit of the graphic because my kids didn't see everything that happened, but they seen enough. Right. And they knew enough what to do. But in the time that my man was in the hospital, they kept asking me, Mom, is Daddy dead? Is Daddy dead? Like, that is the hardest thing for a mom to hear. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't know what to tell him. And I'm just like, I just told them, I was like, guys, like Daddy's going to be okay because God's going to help him. He's going to be fine. And there were people in our home and in our lives that were like pretty much telling me to stop telling my kids that because like even my neighbors came to me, was telling me, they were like, when you talk to your kids, just make sure, because I got nurses and stuff that live around me, like they talk reality, but I talk spirituality. Right. So they're just like, be careful what you say to your kids. Don't tell them that Daddy's going to be okay when you really don't know. And I'm like, but I know he's going to be okay. I was declaring that he was going to be okay. Right. So I'm telling my kids, he's going to be, Daddy, he's going to be hurt. I don't really know what's going to happen, but I know that he's going to be okay. But I also know that he's not going to look the same either when you see him. I was giving them the reality of him coming home. Mm-hmm. So during all of this, they're also thinking, Mom, are we going back to school? They're wondering if they're going back to school to see their friends, let alone wondering if their dad is alive. let alone if worrying about like, if we cough or sneeze, they're thinking, Mom, are you sick? Do you got the coronavirus? Like there's so much that like, especially today. And that's why I said I probably had my worst breakdown this year, because it was intense for a lot of us. I did a lot. I don't know if a lot, but there are some parents out there that do pull up pictures of Black people and white people and Puerto Rican people. And you look and you have your children look at these pictures and ask them, like, what do you see? Because you just want to know where your child's state of mind is at.
Right.
And I had to, because my kids, I love my church, but it's more, there's the majority of the crowd is white. The majority of the crowd in their school is white. But I also just was hoping that I was raising my kids the right way. And thank God their answers were amazing. But like, that was my worry, was what was going on in the world with BLM, what was going on in the world with coronavirus. I'm sorry, baby. I don't know if you're going back to school. I don't know if you're ever going to see your friends again. Like, I really don't know. And then that happened. That is how I broke down this year. It was intense. But it didn't all start like in this house. Me and Joey met. We got together. We were engaged, but then we got pregnant. Me and Joey were engaged since 2011, I want to say. May 11th, 2011. It was early. It was a while ago we got engaged. But we got engaged for other reasons. We were trying to get like grants from colleges so I wanted to go to Empire Beauty School to like do hair and stuff. And I was like, if you want to, help me and marry me and I can get some sort of grant. Like, that was our excuse. And it was just an excuse, but we really knew what was up. Like, it was just to make everybody else more satisfied, I guess. But then, 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid, we lived with his mom. We lived in his mom's living room on a mattress on the floor. And then eventually we lived with his friend who was a crackhead. My man was a hustler, just knocking on the door every 5 minutes, looking for something. And then I got pregnant. We had our son. Life changed. And then before our son came, we promised ourselves that we would at least be out of that. And we moved into a trailer park. We owned our trailer and we were going to move it out of the trailer park, but that never happened. And trailer park life, we all know it was crazy, yo. It was not crazy. It was crazy in there, especially when you make friends and you're like the one that's like, yeah, sure, okay. It's always yeah, sure, okay. Joey's like, okay, yeah, man, I got you. Like, we were that yes couple, like, sure. And sure enough, it like our world came crashing down behind the scenes, and even between each other, we didn't even realize what was going on. Then we moved into our home and things started to blossom. But then it just continued to grow. But then we would get pulled back. We would grow and get pulled back. We almost broke up a lot of times, but we never really like officially called it quits. So,
you ever experience any, insecurities and, being
the whole time?
The whole time?
The whole time. Even still, I don't think as a woman that'll ever go anywhere. Only because, you just like, I can't say that because I'm not in everybody's shoes, but for myself, that's where the daddy issues come in. If you couldn't have been accepted from the men that were supposed to love you in your life, how can another man love you?
Right. Yep.
And it hurts. It really does hurt because when I said that my uncle raised me, he met this woman, and basically once he met this woman, he married her and wanted nothing to do with any of us ever again. I've never talked to him. My grandfather passed away. You know what I mean? Like, that's common in lives. Your grandparents go and stuff. So I was, I think I was 15 when he passed away. But when he passed away, like that was like it for me. Because I was like, well, I can't no man tell me what to do. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like my grandfather never told me ever what to do, what not to do, but I respected him. Right. There's a huge difference. You know how in the Bible says, honor your mother and father. I never really knew what that meant because I didn't know who I was honoring. My mom was always there for me, but what did that mean? But all I know is that there was a moment in my life where I was honoring my grandfather and I didn't even know it, you know. But now I'm growing and I'm learning, I'm reading the Bible, I'm starting to understand a lot more, and these are still stones that I'm still trying to cross.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. You can be in a relationship with somebody for 10, 20, it doesn't matter how many years you've been together. If you've been hurt by someone, especially men that are in your life, it's going to take a long time to get over. You can get over it, but there still will be times when you're looking at yourself in the mirror. Like I'm looking up at my mirror, but I look at myself in the mirror sometimes and I'm just like, you know, you see your face age, and you got 50-year-old women that are just kind of like, oh, you're still young, you got a whole life ahead of you. And then you got 15-year-olds that are telling you how old you are, how you don't know that, you know, me and Snapchat, we have a hard relationship right now. Like I really I try to, and it's fun, but I'm like, it's like a game for me. And
I am with Twitter.
you know, like they laugh at me for still having Facebook. I'm like, what do you mean? Facebook is life. So you're just like juggled in between this thing, because you look at the young, beautiful women whose boobs are still up to their chin, and then you look at the older women over here whose boobs is down to their knees, and you're just like, where am I supposed to be at right now? It's hard. Like being a woman is hard.
It is. It definitely is. So where do you actually find your peace? You know, besides just going to the grocery store and hanging out with your girls, where do you find your peace and all the chaos that's going on?
I know you said it already, but I find my peace and with God especially. But I find my peace with God, but it is with my friends. My peace are with my friends, but my peace is with my friends because I've appreciated their value to my life. I do hold expectations against like my man, my kids, my people in my life, but I don't hold expectations against my friends, because my friends used to hold expectations against me. So when they can be there for me when I'm down, when they can be there for me when I'm out, I felt like I had no friends. But if you kind of just allow your people to just be your people the way that they're supposed to be your people, then you can definitely find those escapes. But I say, you know, God is my peace, but he has also gave me those friendships.
Yes.
Yeah.
So ultimately it is from God, seriously, because, and I do essential oils. I'm huge on essential oils, but it was a friendship that brought me there, you know, and good vibes. It was a woman at a bus stop one day, and I just would always look at her like, man, she always just looks so happy, peaceful, loving, kind, felt so good. I just want to be her friend. That's it. I just wanted to be her friend. Like, you know, like some women are afraid to put themselves out there for these wonderful friendships, because they're afraid. Like there has been that whole hashtag no new friends forever. No new friends.
Foundation friends.
Yeah, foundation friends.
New friends is amazing. New friends are awesome. Like I love making new friends because you can learn, but that's where the expectation comes in, because if you have old friends, you're expecting them to pull you out of places that they can't even pull themselves out of.
Yep.
You know, if you make new friends, then maybe there's people in your life. Like I have a lot of friends, but I have a lot of like older friends now. Like one of my closest friends, I already mentioned to her, is 77 years old. We live two completely different lives. But she also teaches me about God. She teaches me how to like garden. She teaches me how to, you know, she gives me books on how to, like, she gave me a book on how to love your child the right way. And I'm like, well, what's she trying to say? You know, all offensive, but realistically, it's a good read, you know, common sense. But when you read things, when people say something to you, for some reason, it just registers differently.
What do you do to enjoy yourself from being a stay-at-home mom?
To really enjoy myself is to pouring into other people. That's where I get my ultimate gratification from. And it's not just like giving people money and giving them things that they need. Like for me, it's the oil thing. You know, I just know that when I have these little gatherings, we're getting together. Like when I did Cherish Ladies, we got together, we had food. Like, you know, I have a group called Chester County Buddies, because I had a really, really bad experience at Goodwill. And it made me want to just have like an online Facebook, like Goodwill, you know, that's basically what it is, but it's all free. And I would go to these women's houses sometimes, and sometimes they drop stuff off to me, you know, or I'd go pick it up. But in between, I made some friends, you know, like I made friends, and it was crazy too, because I go to Lincoln Diner over here. It's like my favorite spot. They got a little play spot for the kids. It's outside. It's perfect. Like I'm allowed to bring my dog, tie her up to the back. Like it's just right. Perfect for me. But my waitress has been my waitress every single time, and me and her are always looking at each other. I'm like, oh, I know too. But this whole time we've been exchanging through Chester County buddies. And I'm like, dang, like you're Vanessa. She's like, you're Julia. I'm like, you know, because Facebook and, you know, your profile picture looks different and stuff. You know, people don't recognize you like that. But, you know, just pouring into other people, because I go there and, you know, it's you vent to your waitresses and stuff one time, especially if you're there by with your kids by yourself. And she's sitting there and venting. And the only thing that she said to me, she was like, well, I got 6. And I'm like, you win.
Yeah, I know.
No, I don't even know why I'm sitting here talking, and I'm afraid to say
you
anything.
Can't compare to that.
No, not at all.
You doubled me. Like, so it's just like, you know, but pouring into other people, it just feels really good. Like it goes hand in hand with everything, whether you're giving somebody else food because you're meeting up with them, you're venting them, you're talking to them. But besides other people and all of that, pedicures all day.
Pedicures, yes.
For that.
Do my nails, but
I don't even need the toenail polish. Like, just leave it. Like
that's good.
That.
What are your
Amazon's also been good to me though too these days.
Amazon? Oh, please stay off of Amazon. I know.
I'm trying. I feel bad, but yeah.
So we do have a question from one of the viewers. They want to know, you know, what are your thoughts about homeschooling? Okay,
so I've always wanted to homeschool. That's just been something that's been pretty cool, because you can mold your kid into what you want. But I know myself individually, I can't say I'm not. If I wanted to do, it would be something that I had to work on. Okay. As far as homeschooling, I can't, like, I was devastated when they said they were going virtual, like devastated. But at the same time, if homeschooling is a choice, like say there was no COVID, everything was normal, no, you're going. You gotta go. But I also have women in my life who have 5 kids plus and stuff, and they do it. Like I know women who do it. So to ask me personally, it's just definitely a personal opinion. But right now with like the coronavirus and it being almost like forced upon you, and say you did have the option to go to school, I don't want my kid to be a guinea pig either. Right. So this is that time in my life where I need to like man up and figure it out. Okay, well, what are your problems? Why couldn't you homeschool? It's because I was being a little selfish on my time and what I was capable of doing and what I was not capable of doing. You're capable of doing anything that you put your mind to.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if you have the opportunity to put your kids in homeschooling, do it. If you don't want to, then don't do it. But if you're forced to do it, like we all are, don't be sad about it. You have to rise above and make the best of it, because you don't have a choice anymore. It's your only option.
And educate yourself during that time. If there's something that you don't know, don't just take a guess at it. You know, there's so much information on the internet to educate yourself that you can give your child the best education they need. We got YouTube, we got Google. Don't just tell your child to figure it out. And you have to have patience. You know, you have to have patience, especially during this time, because there's a lot of challenges that's going to be thrown at us during this time that we have to actually teach our kids. But it definitely comes with the patience. Definitely.
It's not easy at all. And another thing that I can say is because this was me a little bit, you got friends out there, or you got people you might know that are out there that know the homeschooling life, that's been in the game for years. Don't feel intimidated to go to them to ask questions because they already know. Don't feel like, well, she's been doing it. If I ask this person how to do it, then she's going to think that I'm not capable of doing it. No, you probably aren't. I know that I'm not. I got like 3 friends that have homeschooled, and I can't wait to meet up with them to see what what type of curriculum they got going on, what type of like,
Yeah.
you know, resources that they fell on, you know, like,
Yeah,
did
help
you
each
stay
other
with it?
out.
You
Yeah.
know, like, you have to keep your resources open, and keeping them personal and close mean they might mean more, because they might, your friends might get on your nerves and you might get on their nerves and stuff, but the love of children, that doesn't die. They want, a lot of
yeah.
people want the best, you know, the best for your kids. Not everybody, but mostly.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that age, they're sponges, you know. We
Yes.
are the example. Some people have to realize what we do is how our children are going to grow up in the future, you know.
Right.
And I think a lot of people forget like the foundation at home, because it starts at home, which, you know, raising your children. The foundation at home plays a big part in an adult life of a child.
Absolutely. And one of the things that just made me think about that is something I'm working on right now, is that you can't, and I'm telling you, I'm guilty of this probably like 10 minutes before I drop my kid off, but this is what I'm working on like right now, is that you can't yell at your kid for yelling.
Yeah.
Like, they're a sponge. You know what I mean? Like, people make fun of a lot of these women out here, like, no, Tommy, don't do that. But that's because they're just trying to teach them something. But at the same time, you're just kind of like, Tommy, you got one more time. And that's where I'm at. Like, I'm in between, but like, you know, sometimes you got to check your kid, but realistically, they are really sponges, because I see my 8-year-old screaming at my 6-year-old sometimes. Now I'm trying to unteach him a taught behavior. And that's harder, is to unteach your child something.
That is so true.
Oh gosh, so hard.
It is, because I yell too, and then I'll go apologize, like, I'm sorry.
Right? I stay
I mean,
apologizing.
I think we all do it. I do it with my 16-year-old, and she's like, Mom, why are you catching an attitude? That's what I get from my 16-year-old. I'm catching an attitude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you yelling? I don't know, but kids,
especially right now, everybody's home and just like can't go nowhere.
Yeah, that
Right.
is that. And I mean, and during this time, you know, like you said, with the homeschool, everybody has to look out for each other, especially when you have kids. You have to like be there for one another and help each other, because
We don't have no other choice.
We have no other choice especially when it comes to the kids. If you want your kids to go further in life, like Shanera talks about foundation.
Right.
You know, we need that foundation. And even as a stay-at-home mom, a single mom, or, you know, or working mom, you know, we all need to be together and have a foundation, be a team for these children, because they are the next generation.
Yeah. And that's why I went live the other day, and sometimes I don't even make sense when I talk. I just be babbling. But one of the things that I've been learning lately is to like strengthen your skills, master your skills, because what I might hold, the next person might not, but what they hold, I might not have. Like, my neighbor is great at gardening, but I want to learn how to garden. That's like the example I use all the time. My sister Marilyn, she's the pastor's wife. She is so good at public speaking. When I will clam up, you know, like, and I will just straight become like stage fright. But like, you know, at first it was a challenge, because she is like my younger sister, but we love each other so much. We learn. So like, I'm farmer life over here. Like, our dream is to be like, have a farm and all of these wonderful things, where she can't even stand the sight of a cat walking on her sidewalk. She's like, oh my gosh, that cat just had kittens. We need to call the SPCA. Like, I'm over here like, let's get a house. Like, we can get a little box for all these kittens. Like, you know, like, we all benefit from each other in some strange way. Like, the hating only comes in is because they got something that they want. You know, but everybody is capable of these things. You just got to learn it. Like, not everybody learned to walk when they came out the cooch. Like, you got to learn, you know.
Right. Baby. Girl.
Baby steps.
That's right.
What are your accomplishments? Are you proud of being a stay-at-home mom?
My biggest accomplishment is being proud of the person that I'm becoming without any regrets. You know, that is my biggest accomplishment, because if I'm not okay with myself, then I can't be okay with anyone else. So if I'm okay with myself, then that means I'm okay with the way I'm being a mom. I'm not saying I'm proud of everything and I'm happy with all of that, but I'm proud. That's one of my greatest accomplishments, because if I could accomplish myself, that means I've accomplished mothering. That means I've accomplished becoming someone's wife in the near future. And I accomplished, you know, becoming someone's daughter. Like, I'm here, I'm alive. But besides that, you know, I've accomplished overcoming addiction. That's my biggest accomplishment. You know, I still have my struggles and stuff. Like, I still battle with, you know, I know this is whatever, but I smoke weed from time to time. It's kind of becoming legal, but, you know, I struggle with drinking alcohol still. But these are gateways. These are escapes. You know, you just kind of want to enter into a world of not caring. You want to numb yourself out from all of the pain. And the pain might not even be because of your right now. The pain could be because of something that happened a long time ago.
Right.
But you're just trying to numb that out.
Right.
So I'm just, you know, I'm proud that I didn't allow addiction to overcome my life.
That's true. That's real good. So what advice could you give other women that, you know, think that being a stay-at-home mom is all peaches and cream, and how do you actually, you know, juggle cooking and teaching and taking care of the house and, you know, just doing everything full time versus just, you know, it's a job, don't get me wrong, but just doing everything home versus doing a 9 to 5?
Well, I guess there's kind of two ways. Before I forget my one thought, the best advice that I can give is, like, I know these women at work are tired all day and they come home and they're tired at night, but I've caught every single milestone, every single one of them. I probably didn't miss not one of them. First steps, first everything. But I only say this because my man said this to me. So even not for just stay-at-home moms or excuse me, working moms, but working dads, working everybody, like, when you do get home, and I know as hard as it is and you're tired, just try to enjoy that time, because it really, really, really flies by. You know what I mean? Like, I only got an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, 3-year-old, and everybody says it all the time. Oh, enjoy them while you're young. Enjoy them while they're young. But it's like, it's hard to. So when you do get that peace at work, you have a little bit of you still. There's no you left in this stay-at-home mom life. So when you do get home, just enjoy being a mom, because work is over. Now, as far as working that 9 to 5 and is, you know, trying to understand the stay-at-home mom life, become friends with one, because you never know, she might need you just as much as you might need her. You know, we miss working. We miss having our own paychecks. You know, we miss being, you know, having a reason to get up and get dressed, rather than, like, we get to be in our pajamas all day. But, like, I miss my heels. I miss my wedges. You know, I miss my makeup. I miss going out. Yeah, like, and you know what I mean? It goes both ways, because, like, you know, you guys are working women too. Like, it's no joke. Like, this stuff is, they watch your every move. They see everything you do. Like I say, I struggle with smoking because it's the truth. You know, it's the truth. And when I do it, I don't do any of that in front of my kids. You know, I do that on my own time, but at the same time, it's like you're lying to them. You're keeping secrets from them. Then eventually, these little babies, they grow up and they see what you're doing. They're not dumb after a while, you know, because my son is 8 years old, but he's becoming very, very curious, you know, and he's kind of wondering, like, what's she doing? You know, and I don't want to lie to him, you know, so you really have to make up your mind, and you have to make decisions. Like, if you're going to choose to do that, you have to be also prepared to explain to your child why you're doing it, because they're going to find out. You know, they always are going to find out. So whatever decisions that you make sure that you're going to instill that in them. Like, it is okay. Like, because if I choose to smoke, then I'm choosing that it's okay, and it's going to be okay for them to do it too. Well, in the reality, in my mind, I understand that it's becoming medical and everything, but am I okay with them leaning on it? for as a crutch. No, I'm not. I'm not okay with them abusing anything. I'm not okay with them leaning on substance before like leaning on God,
Right.
you know, stuff like that. So I have my struggles, but my kids are kind of young enough where I'm still trying to get it together. But I even think when I'm 45, 50 years old, I'm still going to have my struggles. It's just what struggles am I going to introduce my kids to? You know?
That's right.
Do you want to go back to work?
I started waitressing again and I loved it. I had a sense of peace. I had a sense of independence again. I was just so excited. Like I was, making money and all of that. And like I was talking to grown-ups again. I wasn't just watching Disney Junior and Blippi moms all day. Like it was nice. It changed my life when I went back to work. Sorry. It was getting cold. The air conditioner's on. But somebody's calling me. Sorry.
We're almost finished here.
No, it's good. I don't know. Did I go away? Sorry. But as far as going back to work, I thought I wanted to go back, but it was just a moment in time because I did go back to work and I finally got the waitressing job that I wanted, which was at First Watch in Exton, that breakfast spot. They opened up at like 6, they closed at like 2. It was the perfect hours. My man was going to get the kids on the bus. I had enough time to get to the bus stop and stuff. I had a babysitter who was $20 a day. Everything was lined up. I was like, this is it. I'm so excited. Well, then coronavirus decided to happen. And I was
I'm so sorry.
so upset about that. But I was working at a sports bar restaurant before that, and I really liked it. But it was changing my character. It was a sports bar restaurant. There was a lot of alcohol around. There was a lot of people, unnecessary conversations, waitressing. I was working around waitressing, college kids, drama, gossip, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, oh no. Like, I'm just like, it was cool and all, but like I enjoyed that independence. But now that I'm home again, I realized I was like, okay, that might be what I thought I wanted, but this is where I need to be. So that's where the difference becomes in between a need and a want. Do I want to work again? Absolutely. You know what I mean? To help my family, to provide. But do I need to be working right now? Some people have no choice, but I do, and I'm blessed that I do have that choice. So if I do have that option, I need to be thankful for what I got and where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's real good. That's real good. Let me check and see. We have one more question, but let me check and see if there's any other. Do you have any questions on here?
No.
There was any other questions? No, we did good. So before we close up, thank you so much. We do ask all our guest speakers one question, and that is, what makes you uncommon?
What makes me uncommon is that I'm an open book. I love sharing my experiences. I love sharing my journey. I don't allow anyone to stop me either, because Joey, my fiance, tells me how much he hates that I put my life on social media. He does not like it. He's not pictured a lot. He doesn't like pictures. He doesn't like being seen. He's very a discreet person. That's just not who he is. He's, but me, it's just like, I just feel like that people's voices aren't heard enough, that, sometimes like it just feels good when I do it. So I just really enjoy sharing my story and just being open, being very vulnerable, and, just not holding back. Everybody's got their things that they keep to themselves. There's not everything that they can share and whatnot, but I do what I can, to the fullest that I can. And I know I say I a lot, me. I talk about myself a lot on my live, on my stories and everything, but I am my own experience. That's all I can talk and speak through. I haven't gone to school. I didn't go to college. Well, I graduated high school, but I didn't go to like college. I was a CNA for a while, but I didn't really there wasn't really much after that. It was just me and myself and my experiences.
Mm.
And I love your openness, you know, because he may not understand your stories that you're telling may also be helping you, but it may also be helping others.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you're just planting those seeds, you know, because it's a getaway from reality for some people when they don't know who they can speak to, but they can always go to your page when they're feeling down or they're feeling like, you know, my life is chaos, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you open up your story and you share your story of the things that you're going through, it gives others a different perspective of life.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. And if there's any, I was thinking, like, what do I really want to say? If I could tell everybody one thing, what would it be?
Right.
If there's one thing that I could pour out to absolutely everybody and anybody that watches this, of course, pray and the love of God and everything. That's always number one. But I guess it's two things. Is one, you have to get out of denial and you have to have self-control.
Mm-hmm.
Those are huge. Those are huge, huge, huge. Because if you're in denial, then you're never going to grow. And if you have no self-control, then you're going to go to places where you didn't even think that you would go before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's good.
So
yeah,
that's about it.
Yeah. And thank you for our viewers for tuning in.
And thank you guys so much for this opportunity. Like I said, I could keep going and going. Probably until tomorrow, into tomorrow.
We're gonna have to cut you short today.
I know.
Well, you can find us on Google Play, iTunes, also Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also, check us out in our YouTube channel. It's finally done. You can check that out.
Please subscribe. We do need everybody to subscribe on YouTube.
And we are looking for sponsors, and we also want to sponsor you too as well. So like, share, and comment. And if you have any topics, comments, or things or anything you want us to talk about, you know, just you can email us at uncommonwomenpodcast@gmail.com. And also we're still having a raffle until the end of the month. You have to just purchase a merchandise, a shirt, a vest, that Shannara has on. And you have to go to our website. We have our apparel website up at ourcommonwomen.net. So our first in order for you gotta like I said, sorry about that, you gotta purchase a merchandise, tag Uncommon Women and tag 3 other people. First prize is $25. Second prize is a jogger set, and third prize is $75. So that's all you have to do, and thank you for tuning in.
And ladies, please remember to stay uncommon.